Hey guys, welcome back to Jibber Jab Reviews. In today's show, I'm going to provide you with the top new features and functionality for the Samsung Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus, which are available now for pre-order and it will be available for purchase in stores on March 16th. I'm also going to let you know the prices and do a comparison of the S9 and S8 specs so you can decide for yourself if you think it's worth the upgrade. Alright, let's get started. Alright, let's start things off with looking at the dimensions and the size in general. The S9 will be slightly smaller than the S8, but the screen size will actually remain the same both in terms of the actual dimensions as well as the resolution. The sizes also remain the same when comparing the S8 Plus to the S9 Plus. Now, although there aren't any major differences with the display, the S9 does introduce some refinements into the Infinity display, and these include reinforcing the displays with thicker Corning Gorilla Glass 5 and crafting the bezels and screen in deeper black to conceal that iris sensor and to create a more uniform, minimalistic, and aesthetic look. Another design tweak has been to move the fingerprint scanner, which on the S8 was located on the rear of the phone directly next to the camera, further down so there's less chance of you placing your finger over top of the lens. Now, in terms of ports, the S9 also retains the 3.5mm headphone jack on the bottom edge of the phone on the left-hand side, and the USB-C slot sits next to that, as well as one of the phone's two speakers. The second speaker is actually located on the top of the phone. Samsung also said that the new speakers will be 1.5 times louder than the S8 and will also feature Dolby Atmos surround sound technology. Now, as far as water protection goes, the S9 is actually going to have the same IP68 waterproofing rating as the S8 enjoys, which means internal components should be fine with the occasional splash, but I wouldn't want to keep it submerged in water for extended periods of time. Now, as far as the camera goes, the actual megapixels are the same for the front and rear cameras as in 8MP and 12MP respectively, but the S9 boasts enhanced functionality here. In fact, most of the improvements in the S9 fall within this area. The biggest upgrade is the new dual aperture technology, whereby the camera automatically adjusts the aperture depending on the scene you're shooting, much like the human eye adapts to the changing light. The new lens should make for crisper and clearer photos regardless of the lighting conditions, and it also powers the device's new super slow-mo video function for the rear camera. This will allow you to shoot at 960 frames per second, which is 4 times slower than the Galaxy S8 and should make for some great scenes. Another cool feature about this slow-mo mode is it has automatic motion detection, which means it's going to automatically begin to record only when the camera detects movement, and this should help ensure that only relevant action is actually captured in slow motion. Now, looking at the processing power inside the S9, there is a slight improvement here over the S8. The S9 is getting the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 chipset, which will make it one of the first phones to utilize this new chip. Processing power increases from 2.3 GHz to 2.7 GHz. Again, a minor improvement that may have negligible benefits for the apps, videos, and battery life. We'll just have to see how it turns out. In terms of memory, both the S8 and the S9 will come with 4 GB of RAM, although the S9 Plus will have 6 GB. Onboard storage space will remain at 64 GB, although by adding a micro SD card to the S9, you can actually expand that up to 400 GB in storage space versus the S8, which was capped at 256. Now, in terms of the battery, both have the same size cell. However, the S9 is expected to be slightly more efficient at retaining power due to the improvement in the processor. How much more efficient remains to be seen, but I would guesstimate perhaps 5% increase in efficiency. The S9 will also have the same wireless charging technology as the S8 and offer the same fast charging capabilities. Another new feature in the S9 is called the AR Emoji. The trend seems to show that people are communicating more through images now and in video, so this new AR or augmented reality feature uses the front camera along with the device's facial recognition technology to take a selfie and generate a realistic or cartoon-like emoji based on your looks. In many ways, this is kind of like the Sims game where you can create and customize a character based on yourself. This new feature also recognizes over 18 different facial expressions to make the experience more realistic and freaky. Alright, next is the Bixby feature, and this was new on the S8 and improvements were actually made to it in the 2.0 release a couple months ago, and now additional enhancements have been made in the S9 for the Bixby Vision. When you launch your camera app, you now have the ability to track your location. For example, if you're eating at a restaurant, it will tell you the name and location of where you are, and if you take a photo of your meal, Bixby will determine the food it is, and it will give you an estimate of the calories, although you may want to disable this feature when eating at a buffet because the calorie count may depress you and probably overheat the processor. Another useful feature, particularly for world travelers or those that enjoy trying different ethnic cuisines, is the live translation feature. Using your camera, you can hover over the foreign language text and it will automatically translate it to English or any other language in real time. Now, you will need internet access for it to process the translation, but it is an interesting and useful feature given how multicultural the world is now, and I could also see an enhancement in the future being not only to translate the text, but also have an audio translation available as well. And the last feature I want to mention is that the S9 will also be compatible with the Samsung DeX software platform. If you're not familiar with this, it actually enables users to a desktop experience by plugging their phone into the DeX station. Phone calls, messages, and settings are all accessible through the monitor, and you can even launch games on the desktop, videos, as well as access to a number of apps. And with the S9, the display can be turned into a touch keyboard and touchpad when using the DeX pad. All useful functions when you need to access files from your phone, but you don't want to be limited to the smaller screen when working on it. Okay, and now for the damage. How much is this going to cost me? Well, pre-orders in the US are expected to start in a few days, and Samsung has reported a starting price of $720 US. Interestingly enough, you can already pre-order the phone in Canada, and the price listed there is $960 for an unlocked phone version, and in the UK it's going to be £739. Okay guys, that's my synopsis of the latest features and functions for the S9. It definitely looks like a great device, but you'll have to decide for yourself if you think the price is worth the upgrade. Okay, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I would really appreciate it if you could share this video and to subscribe to my channel. It really helps me keep the channel going so I can continue to offer you guys discounts, giveaways, and fresh content. And if you want to be notified when the newest video is just released, then just click on that bell icon next to the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, take care.